You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show.
The view from our side of the cockpit door.
WAPG, it's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Airline Pilot Guy, episode 673.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Hello, you're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. The view from our side of the cockpit door, with your host, Captain Jeff, broadcasting live from APG headquarters in Roswell, Georgia. Today's show is recorded the week of August 11th, 2025.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy. Picture light and he's flying by with the Airline Pilot Guy.
In today's episode, Spirit Airlines warns it may not survive another year. And legendary Apollo 13 astronaut Jim Lovell has died.
Houston, we've had a problem.
Also ahead, more news and your feedback. So get all settled in. Tray tables and seat backs in the upright and lock positions. Electronic devices powered on. I'm Radio Roger, and Flight 673 is ready for pushback.
Thank you, Radio Roger. He is an award-winning TV and radio reporter currently at the number one all-news station in the nation, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM in
New York City!
Welcome to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. It's an aviation podcast covering the latest in aviation news and answering your great feedback. I'm Captain Jeff, former U.S. Air Force pilot and retired Delta Airlines captain. Joining me from his studio,
in Hartford, Hereford, and Hampshire.
retired professional dogtographer, former RAF, RAAF fighter pilot, retired Airbus A330, A340 captain for Virgin Transatlantic Airways, is Captain Nick.
Hi there, Jeff. I've got a strange feeling of deja vu. We're on show number 673. Now, back in the 50s, the RAF got three new V bombers, nuclear bombers. There was the Vickers Valiant, the Avro Vulcan, and the Handley Page Victor. Now, the Valiant, interestingly enough, had a type called the Type 673. Ooh. And it was designed as a fast, low-level pathfinder for the Royal Air Force. The prototype, which you can see if you're watching the video, known as the Black Bomber. And it was ironic that this change to operating the aircraft at low level caused the early demise of the Valiant from the RAF because of fatigue.
Speaking of fatigue, I'm tired.
So 673 is an omen for the beginning of the end?
Show.
Oh, it's a good movie, that.
Yeah, I'm tired of all you. All right. Well, thank you, Captain Nick. And, oh, by the way, if you're listening to the show with a podcast player supporting chapter images, you'll also see a nice little image of that aircraft as well.
Black Bomber.
That Black Bomber. It's very fatiguing, though. Be careful. All right. Let's continue then with this. I don't know if you remember this guy. From his home studio in the air capital, Low and Slow pilot, A&P mechanic, old airplane enthusiast, and engineer in the aerospace and defense industry. It's Nick Camacho.
Hey, Captain Jeff. I'm glad to be back. It has been a little while. We crossed paths with everyone just very briefly at Oshkosh, but I think I've got everything set up and ready to go here, so hopefully I remember how to do this.
All the right switches in the right places and all that. Sounds good.
Yep.
From this end. All right. Beautiful. Also joining us from the North Woods of the Atlanta suburbs, he's a race car driver, chef, and commercial multi-engine instrument-rated pilot with an interest in anything with enough horsepower to kill him. It's AJ Schramm.
Hey, Jeff. Hey, everybody. Man, it feels like we just did this. Really good to see you guys again.
Shh. They'll never know that this is the second go at it. Well, now they do. All right.
Too late. Cat's out of the bag.
Yeah. Okay. And finally, last but not least, from her studio in Toronto, retired financier and aviation enthusiast, spreadsheet master, and our producer. It's Liz Piper.
Hi, everybody. Between Jeff's voice and the fatigue of that airplane, we're all going to be sleeping soon.
Indeed.
I'm sorry. I was listening to myself. I just kind of nodded off.
Wake up.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Have a good show, you guys.
Thanks,
Cheers,
Liz. All right. What do you think? Let's do some news.
Stand by for news.
All right, going to start off with this, a 747. By the way, this is from the Aviation Herald. UPS 747-800 was coming in to land at Taipei from Hong Kong, China to Taipei, Taiwan. It was on its third approach to Taipei's runway 5 left in gusting winds. There was a typhoon in the area. And let's see, it was at night, about 8 o'clock p.m. local time, a little after that, when the right-hand wing lowered after touchdown, causing the engine number 4 outboard right nacelle to contact the ground briefly. The aircraft rolled out without further incident and taxied to the apron. Engine number 4 received damage to its nacelle. The METAR at the time of the incident, some pretty significant winds at 1230 Z. 100 degrees, 28 gusting 41 knots. And as I mentioned, that was the typhoon. I forgot what the name of the typhoon is, but was blowing through. And we have some video of that. If we want to run that, I think this first one is from a camera from looking aft forward of the landing attempt at Taipei's runway, 5 left, I think they said? Yeah, 5 left. All right, here we go. All right, so it's coming in.
It's coming in.
And it crabbing quite a bit to the right because the winds are coming from that direction. About 50 degrees off. I think the crosswind component's about 31 knots with the gust. And it's still in a very, very large crab. Oh, ouch. The right engine, number 4 engine nacelle strikes the runway. We have another view as well. Liz, if you'll keep that up there.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Mm-hmm.
I think this is from a security camera video. You can tell it's windy. There it is, touching down and bobbling about a bit. And there we go. We can kind of see where some sparks flying off the
sparks were
right
flying.
side. Yeah. Okay. Where to start here? This is a very challenging weather system, event. Thank you, Captain Nick. Would you have any experience at all in that part of the world, and typhoons and landing and that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Did you?
Yes, I have mentioned before that I nearly had a very similar incident going into Shanghai in the teeth of a typhoon which was arriving, and we were gusting 47 knots straight across. It was 90 degrees down the runway, and I made one attempt, and we had to go around from that. And then on the second go, it was much smoother, although we had an awful lot of drift on. And as we were in the flare, I started to straighten the airplane, and we hit some turbulence, and I ran out of control authority to stop the aircraft from rolling. And if it hadn't have been for the fact that the left main wheel at that point reached the runway, it stopped. That's what stopped us rolling any further. I think I'd have done something very similar to what this 747 did, because when we taxied in, the lovely Lufthansa engineer that looked after us there, the controller had also said, Vajan, your approach very dangerous. We close airport. I went, oh, okay. the Lufthansa guy came up and I said, can you check my number one engine? I said to him. And he said, I already have. You're fine. There's no grass in it.
That's good.
Yeah, we got away with that one. That was a lucky day for me.
Well, you know, the 747, when originally introduced, had the diameter of the engines, the 4 engines hanging from the wings, was a little bit smaller. And as time goes on and engine technology advances and more powerful engines are hung from the wings, the diameters have increased. And so the bottom of the engine nacelles are getting closer and closer to the ground. Plus, that 747 has quite a bit of, what would you call that, dihedral? Is that the right word? Or wing sweep, or whatever that word is. No, I guess dihedral is something else. But with a highly swept wing, such as the 747 wing design, that even makes things worse when it comes to the possibility of nacelle strikes in very high crosswind conditions. So that obviously is a factor there. I was looking at this video, that first one at least, with you kind of looking at it from behind as it's coming in, and quite a bit of crab. And I'm thinking, okay, when are they going to kick that out, or at least take some of that crab out? Now, you'll remember that Boeing has mentioned in one of their PowerPoint presentations that their airplanes are designed, the landing gear systems on the Boeing airplanes are designed to take all the stresses associated with landing in the max demonstrated crosswind without taking any of the crab out. They said they added, though, except for the Long Beach products. Of course, what they're talking about is the fact that McDonnell Douglas was, acquired by them, and they're talking about the Mad Dog and the MD-11 and anything that was made by McDonnell Douglas, not Boeing. But anyway, I always thought that was kind of interesting. Every airplane that I've flown, we've been taught to take that crab out, or as much of the crab out as possible. But I guess you have to consider some other things when you do that. Again, it's been a while since I've flown an airplane that had, engine or wing mounted engines. And I know that can be kind of a dicey thing.
Yeah, you don't have a great deal of clearance usually, and particularly as the gear touches down, because all the oleos compress, and that reduces your clearance even more. So yeah, it's not uncommon to dink a pod, but it's certainly to be avoided where possible.
Dink a pod. Possible show
phrase.
title.
That's a title.
Yeah. All right. Very good. Anything else to say about this? Looks like they did some, I guess they're inspecting to see what kind of damage, if it's just nacelle damage or more. Maybe engine accessory.
Yeah, it looked pretty impressive. I think it's probably just the shower of sparks. It looks like they got away with it relatively considering.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, you're always worried about the fan, any damage to because the clearance between the end of the fan blades and the inside of the cowling is so small that any twisting or warping of that could damage the fan, and then you're going to be in a bit more expensive your repairs then.
Well, speaking of airplanes striking runways, I guess we could move to this next one, also from the Aviation Herald. It's a final report. An Aer Lingus Airbus A321-200 November registration Echo India Lima Romeo Delta, performing Flight 117 from Dublin, Ireland to Washington Dulles in the U.S., was landing on Washington's runway 1 right at 15:37 local time, so in mid-afternoon, when the crew performed a balked landing and went around. The crew subsequently reported the reason for the go-around was a, quote, false landing. They climbed the aircraft to 3,000 feet and positioned for another approach to and landing on runway 1 right. Same runway. The aircraft taxied to the apron. The aircraft was unable to depart for the return flight. Yeah, it's still on the ground in Washington about 5 days later. Now, well, of course, that happened, back in 2023. I'm sure that it's flying now. Yeah. So the final report released on August 1st So during the second touchdown, following a bounced landing, the pitch attitude of the aircraft exceeded the tail strike pitch limit. Had a high rate of descent near the ground, 976 feet per minute, so almost 1,000 feet per minute. Just under, though, so I think isn't that kind of one of it seems to me one of the parameters, like you got to be something less than 1,000 feet per minute as you approach the ground and flare. Hopefully you're a lot less than that when you're actually touching the runway. The first pitch call out registered on the flight data recorder was not enunciated. The aircraft bounced following the first touchdown. Nose up side stick inputs during the bounce, possibly due to startle effect and or in an attempt to ensure a smooth second touchdown. These are all things that contributed to this. The first officer had recently operated into Dulles and flew the first approach. There was a gusty wind on the approach, which may have contributed to the aircraft becoming slightly high on the glide slope. In an attempt to regain the glide slope, several nose-down control inputs were made, which, along with a loss of headwind, resulted in an increased rate of descent near to the ground. The rate of descent was subsequently arrested with a rapid aft side stick input, which triggered a pitch call-out on the flight data recorder. However, this call-out was not enunciated due to the system logic. The initial touchdown resulted in a bounce to a height of 3 feet radio altitude, which doesn't seem like much. Following the bounce, nose-up side stick inputs were made due to a possible startle effect in an attempt to ensure a smooth second touchdown. The commander had limited time to react to the unfolding situation and simultaneously with the second touchdown, reached over, slapped the first officer, then took control and initiated a go-around. I added that part.
Was that a false slap?
It was a false landing and a false slap. No, it was a real slap, I think.
Oh, okay.
The aircraft was vectored around for a second approach and landed uneventfully. The flight crew first became aware that the aircraft had sustained damage when a locally based engineer arrived in the flight deck and informed the commander. Hey, boss, that thing is all scraped up out there. Should probably have somebody look at that a little bit closer. There we go. We're looking at the scraped tail area, under tail area there on the video. And we should be showing it to you in the chapter images as well. So what do you think about this? Anybody?
Yeah, it's difficult. I know that the 320, I've never flown this particular version, is a long and difficult aircraft to sometimes land. And it is sort of prone to, I hate to say it. What is that dreadful noise in the background?
I'm sorry, I just muted because I'm thinking, I'm wondering if they're hearing all that noise of the, it's showtime, and that's perfect time for these people. It's a Saturday. They should be home enjoying their families. But they're out there cutting with chainsaws this big giant tree across the street. So apologies.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Sorry to distract you. Yeah. It's an aircraft that requires a large amount of care when it comes to landing because of the possibility of a tail strike. The 340 was the same. We had a very long fuselage, so the tail got remarkably close to the ground as you touched down. And of course, I've just talked about compressing the oleos. If you land with a good old rate of descent, like 976 feet per minute, those oleos are going to be compressed to just about their maximum limit, which takes the aircraft closer to the runway than ever before and makes it just more likely that you're going to clobber the back end on the runway if you've applied too much pitch, which you're likely to if you've got this high rate of descent. So you kind of set yourself up for a no-win situation here. You've allowed the aircraft to go high on the glide, so you've stuffed the nose down to get back, built up a high rate of descent. That high rate of descent on touchdown will cause the oleos to compress a long way, and at the same time, you're pulling back in the flare in an attempt to cushion the heavy impact you're about to have. It all sort of sums together, and lo and behold, whack, you've put the tail into the runway. So yeah, it wasn't much of a bounce. You're right. 3 feet is barely, measurable. I won't say I'm surprised that they didn't stay down. They could have stayed down, but I suspect at that point the captain had already made his decision in his head, "Oh, we're going round from this," and banged the power up as he took control. So yeah, it happens. Trouble is, it's embarrassing, and it's a lot of damage and takes a lot of fixing.
Yep.
When you're flying a really long airplane like that, Captain Nick, are you looking at, like, when you're on the final, when you're nearing the runway, are you looking at the attitude indicator for the pitch angle? Like if you're flying with a new guy, or is it just kind of something that you...
Oh, I see what you mean. Well, if you're flying with a new guy and you're pilot monitoring, yeah, I would be glancing down because I don't need to concentrate quite as much out the front as he is. So, and you've got the pitch limit indicators on your attitude indicator, and if he over rotates the airplane in the flare, and you start to see the attitude approaching those limits, you're going to say something. And if the aircraft doesn't automatically say pitch, you're going to say something. So I'm a bit surprised the FO didn't get a pitch call. Apparently, in certain sense, the pitch call out is suppressed. I don't know why, but certainly if I think I'd be in the other seat, it's the job of the pilot monitoring to also, advise when you've hit the limits for a stabilized approach or for a landing, a safe landing. But you're probably too late to actually do anything, sadly, even for the guy flying it.
Are those pitch limits based on the geometry between like the tail and the landing gear, or are those like aerodynamic
laws?
Okay,
what they're based on.
Cool.
Yeah.
I was wondering if perhaps, I know there are several things going through all the logic of the audio call outs, and I'm assuming that's what they mean by the pitch wasn't enunciated. I'm wondering if it has something to do with the call out of the altitude. I mean, I know that the last couple of airplanes that I've flown, the call outs of the altitude seem to have less priority than something like a warning that your pitch is too extreme. And I've had situations where, it's calling out 50, 40, and then something else comes up, and then 20, 10, whatever. So I'm just kind of surprised that the pitch would not have been, would not have taken priority in the audio call out.
Yeah, I don't know at what point that pitch call is suppressed and for what reasons, I'm afraid. I haven't, we had pitch indicators on the AI, but we didn't have an automatic call out, as I recall, from the 330 or the 340. But so I'm not sure what prevents it coming out. But it said it's due to system logic. So perhaps it's to prevent people reacting to it at a point where it's too late to have an effect. And in other words, if you more or less got your gear on the ground and suddenly it says pitch, well, it's a bit late to do anything. But so perhaps it happens a little earlier than that. I don't know.
Okay. I guess there's really not much else to say about that. All right, let's continue. I'm scrambling here because I'm trying to download a movie or a video from Captain Al in the background.
Watching dirty movies?
No. That's not what I said.
What's the rating of that movie, Jeff?
Well, it's Captain Al, so who knows, really? I guess
Could be X.
I better preview that before I actually present it on the video today, just so there are no surprises. Okay, let's continue on with this next item in our news segment from, again, the Aviation Herald, and this is regarding the crash, the tragic crash of the PSA Airlines Canadair CRJ 700 operating on behalf of American Airlines up at DCA with the military helicopter. And They had an investigative hearing, I think is what they called it. Yeah. And a 3-day investigative hearing from July 30th through August 1st. So not too long ago. And NTSB put it out there. You can listen to it via live stream, of course, the recording of it now. And they released their investigation docket. Yeah, so I'll just read a little bit of a little snippet here, and then we're going to have the links to the docket, the investigative docket, for deep diving purposes, Liz tells us. Let's see. The documents show that the helicopter was at 281 feet radar altitude 15 seconds and at 276 feet radar altimeter 5 seconds prior to impact. The CRJ was rolling out on final course at 344 feet radar altitude 67 seconds prior to impact and was at 313 feet radar altitude 2 seconds prior to impact. Well, it's almost pretty level, it sounds like, for a while. At this point, the crew attempted to pull up the aircraft. Pitch increased to +9 degrees and to turn left, and the aircraft was still descending at 448 feet per minute. The docket also contains the combined transcript of both tower, CRJ, and helicopter. And the NTSB also released the history of flights with the flight tracks, barometric, and radar altitudes of both aircraft, stating with respect to the helicopter, quote, the recorded pressure altitude was determined to be unreliable, but radio altitude while the helicopter was over the Potomac River was consistent with the validated CRJ altitude. So, yeah, obviously we know they came together too close, and it was a tragedy and several people were killed. So, again, we just wanted to mention that this investigation docket and the investigative hearing was released by the NTSB, and we'll have links to all that in the show notes. All right.
This next one's a doozy.
Oh, the next one is a doozy. Okay. Oh, as Paul Harvey used to say, this is a strange. We have some video of a Spanish FA-18 Hornet, I think a Super Hornet, right? In an air show. Let's see, a Spanish Air Force FA-18. No, I'm not sure if it's a Super Hornet or not. Had a very close call during a remote air show performance in picturesque Gijon. Was that how you say that? City?
I think it would be Guillaume.
Guillaume. Oh, that sounds better.
Sort of in Spanish.
Guillaume.
Guillaume.
All right. They had a very close call. The Hornet was flying at very low altitude towards the beach, which was packed with spectators in a near perpendicular fashion when it executed a hard right roll. The sudden maneuver saw the jet descend low above the waves before recovering and climbing out. Clearly, it shocked the audience, many of whom had their cameras rolling. Shall we look at this video? And
we shall.
Watch this? Okay, here we go. Yee. Oi, oi. Yikes.
That's just Captain Nick on a flyover.
That's me trying to land it.
Recover. All right. Shall we rewatch that?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think it's a classic Hornet. Looking at the intel.
Okay, yeah, I think you're right. Oh. Wow. I honestly, when I first saw this, I'm thinking, oh, come on, that's AI, that's computer generated nonsense. But apparently not. It's real.
Well, there were computers involved, but not generated.
Yeah, there were computers. Thankfully, there were computers on
controlling
the airplane, controlling the flight controls. Yeah. I don't know. So I'm wondering, I wish that we knew somebody that had experience flying the FA-18 jet that might kind of maybe give us an idea of what was going on here. What happened?
Where is he?
What I read was that he was avoiding birds. And I think if you avoid birds in such a manner that you hit the ground, you've rather defeated the object, and the birds would probably be chalking up a Hornet on the side of their fuselages. So I seemed a rather violent maneuver to be doing at such low level. And I only say just to avoid birds. We all know birds can cause a lot of damage and they can take out an engine, but you do have two engines at a Hornet. It could take out both engines. But until they hit them, there's no damage at all. But if you make your avoidance maneuver so violent, and what's more, downwards by overbanking, he probably reached about 120 degrees of bank there.
At least he was nearly inverted.
Yeah, with a downward vector, the nose is going to drop very quickly. You'll lose that altitude very quickly. And what is remarkable is that he managed to rudder the airplane and eventually pitch it. And the Hornet did its wonderful thing. It's such a incredibly maneuverable aircraft that he managed to pitch up and away and got away with that. The only thing I think most people would say is that the safest way to avoid birds or something is to do it upwards rather than downwards. Now, if you're going to have
the birds
to
on the
maneuver.
beach, those girls in the bikinis.
Those birds.
I'm sure there were a lot of girls very impressed with that. Yes, but it's tantamount to a potential crash, I guess, and good job that he recovered from it. I'm very pleased to see that he did, but perhaps he shouldn't have put himself in that position in the first place.
Well, I love the Spanish Air Force's response on X. So on X, they put an explanation out that says, many of you have been asking us, so in this thread, we'll tell you what happened during the Gijón Air Festival. As you have seen, one of our F-18 fighters performed an evasive maneuver upon detecting a flock of birds in its path. This action is part of the standard protocol to preserve both the pilot's safety and the public security. Our aviators are trained to react in milliseconds to any unforeseen event. In this case, the pilot acted with exemplary speed and professionalism, avoiding a possible collision without compromising the exhibition.
All right.
He must have been quite high-ranking display pilot, is all I can say, because usually the lower rank you are, the less kind of flowery language like that you get.
Right.
The more senior you are, the
He reacted within milliseconds. Milliseconds.
Yeah,
Milliseconds.
Exactly.
But that's how they're trained.
They're
They're
standing
trained.
by their man. They're standing woman or woman.
Mm-hmm. Could be.
I don't think that's what his boss was saying to him in the debrief.
Probably not.
Wouldn't you love to know?
Because we're going to put out this little statement, and we just want you to know that we really don't, feel like this expresses the way we think it really happened.
This is the opposite of what we're thinking.
Yeah.
Indeed.
All right. Well, interesting. Well, we have another video.
Video?
Yeah, this is something that happened in Philadelphia. It's a Bass Aviation video. They use liveatc.net audio. And I'm going to go ahead and start playing this thing right now.
Sucker.
Tower, Piedmont 5969, ILS of Victor 17. Piedmont 5969, Philly Tower, runway 17, clear to land. 17, clear to land, Piedmont 5969.
Okay, coming into land at Philadelphia, talking very fast as a regional jet.
Step 5, ident. Step 5, I didn't see ident. Are you squawking the company? Yes, Step 5, A-firm, just clear the trees right now. North of 95.
It's a helicopter.
Okay, just F5, I got your radar contact 2 to the west. Traffic about a mile to your west eastbound, and Airbus setting at 8. Yes, F5, sir. American 2165, helicopter traffic. Listen, about 400 feet passing off your left now, they're northbound, or northeastbound. Alright, we're looking now, American 2165. Frontier 4462, Philly Tower, runway 9 left, line way traffic lands, runway 17. Line up way 9 or left, Frontier Flight 4462. Just F5, you're cleared through the Philly Class Bravo. Traffic's on a 2-mile final for runway 17 and Embraer. That's just F5, we push the traffic, we'll see north of 95 till we get to the pier.
Till we get some beer?
Just F5 has traffic in sight off 12 o'clock, left to right. Just F5, Roger, just pass by that traffic, thanks. Yes, that's 5 4. Hey, that helicopter, we're converging pretty close. For Piedmont 5969. Piedmont 5969, I'm sorry, say again? That helicopter's coming right at us here. They have you in sight, they're going to pass behind you. Doesn't look like it's 5969. It says he'll pass a mile and 3/4 behind you. Yeah, it doesn't look like we're going around from Piedmont 5969. Alright, Piedmont 5969, roger, go around, fly runway heading, climb maintain 3000. Runway heading up to 3000, Piedmont 5969.
Tower Frontier 1165, 9 right.
Clear 1165, Philly Tower, runway 9 right, clear to land.
Clear line 9 right, Frontier 1165.
American 2165, left at the high speed, Sierra November, hold short of 9 left.
Left at high speed, Sierra, hold November, hold short of 9 left, American 2165.
Piedmont 5969, now fly runway heading, climb maintain 3000. Runway heading up to 3000, Piedmont 5969. Piedmont 5969, contact, approach 124.35. 2435, 5969. Jeff, step 5, you can proceed on course. Frontier 4462, heading 125, runway 9 left, clear for takeoff. Heading 125, clear for takeoff, 9 left, Frontier flight 4462. American 2165, hold short of 9 left in November.
Hold short 9 left in November, American 2165.
Barge Piedmont 5969 on the go, 2.6 3000, runway heading.
Piedmont 5969, set off departure radar contact, and you can expect Atlas Victor runway 9 right.
969. Yes, F5, landing at your own risk, radar service terminated for exchange group. Yes, F5, thanks.
Piedmont 5969, what was the reason?
That helicopter was looking pretty close to us, Piedmont 5969.
Hey, Piedmont 5969, turn right, heading 260, vector to final.
Right, 260, vector final, Piedmont 5969.
All right, he landed safely on runway 9 right, originally coming into 17. Guys, the video starts with the helicopter kind of checking in and the tower's warning of traffic on 9 right, landing east. So they're landing and taking off from runways 9 left, 9 right, and also landing on runway 17. And so there's an exchange of traffic's in sight, that kind of thing. The helicopter was making a northeast kind of course toward the final for the south runway 17. And that's when the Piedmont was looking at it. The traffic was called out to them, and they're thinking, okay, and looking at the altitude readouts on the simulated radar display on the video, looks like they were pretty close to about the same altitude, about 600, 700 feet. And so I can kind of see that, especially with, recent events earlier this year, where you have helicopters and jets coming in to land at busy airports, that you might be a little bit more conservative when it comes to assessing a potential threat of a helicopter. Now, the helicopter said that they did see the Piedmont jet, the CRJ, in sight, and that they would pass behind them. And honestly, in the past, in my experience, when a helicopter says that, you still keep your eye on them, and you still have a TCAS system that's giving you some information. But at that point, you're kind of trusting that they're going to do what they need to do to avoid hitting you. And again, since the events in January of this year, now it's like, okay, well, let's just make sure that they really do see us, and they're really, they see us and not something else, and that they are really going to, do what's appropriate to avoid a collision. And I don't know what you guys think, but I'm thinking that if there's any doubt by the crew coming in to land on runway 17 that this helicopter is not going to, that the helicopter is not going to hit them, then, it's better safe than sorry, and go ahead and go around. You can always go around. Yes, Liz, that is so true. It's been a while since we played that. Calm down. So, what do y'all think? Do you think that was too conservative, or you should have been more trusting in the helicopter's assessment of the situation and the helicopter's path? Or
knowing what we know, which is a lot more possibly than the pilot knew at the time, or the information that he had, or presented the same way, that it's really easy to Monday morning quarterback these kind of things.
Yep. That's what we do here, though.
I'd rather go around than not go around and have another incident, but at the same time, looking at it, I think it would have been fine. In a previous line of work in law enforcement, when judging situations, you had to use what's called the totality of the circumstances, which means exactly what that person in that position that made the decision, you can only use the information that they had presented the way that it was presented to them to make that judgment as to whether or not that was right or wrong. So if he's looking out the window and it looks like they're coming at him, sure, go around. Yeah. Do the safe thing.
Yeah, I agree, definitely. I just wonder, because of that thing at Washington, and also the revealing of a number of issues and mistakes made on airports, and aircraft coming very close together. There's a certain loss of confidence in between pilots and controllers that might lead people to be a little bit less trusting in this situation, and therefore much more likely to go, well, I'm going to go around here because I just don't like the look of this, and I'm not sure that he hasn't made a mistake.
Yep.
Yeah, and I hope that's not something that continues. I hope that trust.
Well, I'm sure it won't,
returned.
but I mean, for a while after one of these incidents, everyone has heightened levels of concern.
Oh no,
so,
agreed.
Yeah.
And I was thinking the same thing. It's
Another helicopter story.
Okay, well, let's move on to another helicopter story. For those of you helicopter pilots out there that say, well, yeah, you guys never cover anything about helicopters.
This is your show.
This is your show, right? Yeah.
Don't miss this show, because we're not talking about them for another 6 months.
Probably be another year or two. Okay. So this one also has, this is from the New York Times, and we also have some video as well. There was a utility helicopter operating over the Mississippi River between, I think, Illinois and Missouri. And I believe that the helicopter was doing some kind of, ironically, some kind of work on the high tension power lines that were crossing over the river. And one of the reports that I was listening to or reading said that they were, those markers they put on the those power lines, like the big balls or whatever, to kind of make it obvious for helicopters and other kinds of flying machines to see the wires. I think they were doing some kind of a maintenance or installing those things, and somehow got tangled up apparently in the lines and came falling out of the sky. So let's do this. Let's play the video and see if they can inform us a little bit.
Old video up there, don't you? Looks like it's still the.
Yeah, you go ahead. We'll just pop it up there.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah, and here we go.
It takes a long time to become an air traffic controller, and many are
quitting.
quitting.
Wrong video.
That's all right. That's okay. I can edit this, Liz. No panic. No panic. Let's see.
Go around, Jeff.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let me see if I can find the video. This might be it. Okay, let's cross our fingers and hope that this is the one that we're looking for.
The helicopter blew up and fell and crashed that barge, and it's exploding right now.
On the bank of the Mississippi, outside East Alton, Illinois, smoke seen rising high in the air, and this explosion captured on camera just after a helicopter crashed into a barge, leaving the two people on board dead.
EMS requested Alton Lock and Dam for a helicopter versus power line.
Wallace Meyer was fishing when he says he saw what happened.
All of a sudden it touched the line, and in 2 seconds it wasn't a helicopter anymore. It was 1,000 pieces.
Investigators with the Missouri State Highway Patrol say it appears the chopper crew was there to work on the power lines before crashing into one.
There's a power line that goes across the river. They was doing some type of work over top of that.
The Mississippi River around the Alton area shut down today. One of the power lines falling into the water. No one on the ground was hurt.
That's not a live power line anymore, so there's no danger to the area here or anybody that's on the water.
The NTSB now leading the investigation to determine what went wrong and left 2 people dead. Adrian Broadus, NBC News.
Thank you. All right.
Very breathless.
So,
Yeah.
kind of a spectacular incident, and sadly, 2 lives lost, and but no other collateral damage. It looks like the barge survived. They're pretty hardy
Big
structures.
Steel box.
Yeah, big steel box for sure.
Yeah, that highline power line stuff with helicopters is so incredibly dangerous. Yeah, it's sad that it happened, but glad that it was it could. Reading through the article, there was apparently the barge may or may not have contained some flammable materials as well, and that could have been a much bigger boom. I feel like the description of the explosion versus what we saw in the video might have been a bit overstated.
A bit, perhaps, yeah.
Of fire.
But, they don't try to make it sensational,
No, that wouldn't
never
be.
do that.
Yeah, that's not a news thing at all.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
all
I
the
agree,
helicopter
AJ.
stuff.
No more helicopter stuff?
I've seen, I've seen heaps of these videos on YouTube and whatever of these chaps with a guy leaning out, putting wire onto a cable, attached to something, or it might be just to stop the tension, the high tension cable from vibrating, that sort of thing.
A lot of those are for static electricity. It's to ground them to the wire.
All right. Well, anyway, they are just flying so close, and this bloke's sitting on more or less on the skid, and the tension cable is more or less in his lap, and the pilot is formatting, plus or minus a foot in a kind of a box, and how the devil they can do that, and if the wind's up a bit, or he just slightly mishandles the controls, I can just see how dangerous it is. I mean, I used to think that crop spraying was about the most dangerous aviation job you can attempt, but which was along with water bombing because of the trying to scoop water out of a lake, and also the low flying involved. But this helicopter work is about as difficult as it gets. I'm amazed that we don't hear about more of these.
All right. We're going to skip the next item and go to item F, because Radio Roger teased it in the intro, and we want to cover it anyway. All right, this one from Forbes.com. Spirit Airlines here in the U.S., their stock plummeted 40% after warning it may not survive another year. Spirit Airlines, the no-frills budget carrier warned it may not survive another year in its quarterly filing 5 months after emerging from bankruptcy and weeks after announcing it would furlough hundreds of pilots. In a filing with the Securities Exchange Commission Monday, Spirit Airlines warned about their problems with their liquidity. Management has concluded there is a substantial doubt as to our ability to continue as a going concern within 12 months from the date these financial statements are issued. The budget airline has continued to be affected by adverse market conditions, including elevated domestic capacity and continued weak demand for domestic leisure travel, the company said in its report. They said that they need additional cash or it could default to creditors, adding that it is considering selling some aircraft or airport gates. Spirit hasn't turned a profit since 2019. Ooh. Last November, the budget carrier became the first major U.S. airline to file for Chapter 11 since American Airlines 13 years ago. The airline exited bankruptcy in March. We're taking steps necessary to ensure we operate as efficiently as possible as part of our efforts to return to profitability, Spirit said in a statement provided to Forbes, which is a financial magazine. and news source, adding that furloughing nearly 300 pilots will better align staffing with our flight schedule. Spirit has drastically cut capacity, trimming flights by approximately 1 million seats in May and June of this year, a decrease of roughly 24% since last year. Yeah, so things are not looking good for
They're
the...
renaming themselves Dispirited Airlines.
Oh, Liz is saying that they're renaming themselves Dispirited Airlines. Bam, I guess that deserves...
I've been waiting for that.
Have you? Yeah, she's been holding that in her pocket there.
My back pocket.
Back pocket. I don't know. I have never had the opportunity or privilege of traveling on Spirit. I know we do have folks that are listeners to our show, or at least we used to.
Quite a few news items on Spirit.
Yeah, we had a lot of news items on Spirit, but I do know that there are some Spirit pilots that listen to our show, and hoping that the 300 pilots furloughed they're not among that number. I doubt they are, because they've been there for a while and are probably either very, very senior on their seniority list, or perhaps have moved on to better, greener pastures, perhaps.
Well, interestingly, I've heard, this is all anecdotal, but I've heard that Spirit is actually a great airline to be a pilot for. It's a terrible airline to be a passenger for. I mean, they charge you separately for the peanuts in the bag they came in, but that's beside the point. Being in the front seat has actually been a pretty nice place to be, from what I've been told. So this does kind of... This kind of stinks. Also, it's not helping me with the whole job market thing, because I don't need 300, or if this continues...
Yeah, that's not helping you out at all, is it?
Not doing me any favors.
Your AJ is very dispirited regarding this news. Yeah. I remember having a discussion when I was still actively flying. This was a couple of years ago, that things were not in a happy place in the cockpit, and I think it was Spirit, maybe Frontier, but I'm pretty sure it was Spirit. They were talking about the fact that the pilots are discussing quite often, like opportunities elsewhere, and there's not a very positive environment there. But again, that was just anecdotally from another pilot that I was flying with that knew somebody over there.
Frontier pilot recently, Jeff?
I did have a chat with a Frontier pilot recently, this past week, and they're a little, Frontier is kind of struggling a bit too. Maybe not as badly as Spirit is, but yeah, things aren't all rainbows and unicorns out there in all of the airlines. So it's sad. I'm just very blessed that I was fortunate enough to be fortunate.
We're in the golden age of aviation.
Fortunate enough. Wow, it's hard for me to say English words. To be with a company.
Other language words?
Other way, it's even worse actually than the English. I was very fortunate to be with an airline that was, always in a good place when it comes to financial issues going on. So a good environment, good positive environment means a lot. So anyway, feel sorry for you, all of you over there at Spirit, and hopefully you guys will, or your leaders will do something to get the airline all recovered, and everything will be nice and coming up roses. What do they call it? What's the phrase? It doesn't matter. I'll cut all this out.
Is it roses or aces?
I don't know.
So the
anyway,
next news story for some reason makes me think of Captain Nick. I don't know why.
Okay. Well, for some reason, this next news story reminds Liz of Captain Nick. This is from Paddle Your Own Canoe. Oh, right. It's been a while since we had a Paddle Your Own Canoe story. A veteran EasyJet captain suspended after stripping naked in hotel bar during drinking session just hours before he was due to fly. It would have been one thing if it were like the night before or the day before or whatever, but no.
Well, I was going to say, what was it, 48 hours or 72 hours?
12 hours. It's not like 2 hours.
Good point. Hours, they didn't specify.
No, they did. It's 12 hours. It's
over
12 hours? Yeah.
Oh, okay. Did they in the story?
What's
Well, let me read this
That's
then.
how I prepare for my flights.
Okay.
The nakedness part.
Oh, okay. Well, a veteran captain for European low-cost airline EasyJet has been suspended after it was alleged, not proven, that he stripped naked in a bar during a heavy drinking session in a crew layover hotel. If that wasn't enough, however, the captain was reportedly set to fly hundreds of passengers just hours after the debaucherous binge session that culminated in the pilot dropping his pants at 2:30 a.m. I'm not sure what the context is there, but okay, let's continue. The incident occurred in the early hours of August 5th when the pilot and several other crew members were on a layover on the islands of Cape Verde, which is located off the west coast of Africa. The captain had been due to operate EasyJet Flight 8996 from the main airport of Espargos to London Gatwick. The flight was due to depart at 3:05. Okay. I see what you guys are saying. That's like almost 12 hours.
That's almost 12 hours.
Well,
before.
actually, if you read this the way that it's written, if it's the early hours of August 5th, we're talking about 36 hours because the flight departs on August 6th. So if it's 2:30 in the morning on August 5th to 3 o'clock in the afternoon on August 6th, that's plenty of time.
Very good thinking, AJ.
Now, they could have just misprinted the date on one of them.
Right.
Explain yourself, pal.
But either way, 13 hours. I mean,
yeah, that's.
I'm not recommending you run out into a bar and drop your pants. That's not.
You're not
a brilliant plan.
Okay.
Why not?
I mean, from time to time, it's okay. Just don't make a habit of it.
Okay.
Probably not when you're wearing your
Yeah,
uniform.
don't do it in uniform. Also, that's probably a good point.
The look on Nick's face.
I love this. It's understood that some of the guests at the hotel who were due to fly home on the same flight that the captain was expected to operate knew he was their pilot and then reported what they had seen to the airline. What did they see? That's they don't
I
talk
would also
about
describe
that.
that as an oopsie. They were unimpressed.
I'm not flying with that thing.
I don't know. What do you think, Nick? Is this the kind of behavior that Virgin crews engage in?
If he's going to strip naked and dance around the bar, I would do it obviously with more joie de vivre than this bloke, because they said he was shuffling naked around the hotel, and I'm thinking, well, that's
shuffling.
That's not very. Yeah,
what part was shuffling?
Around
I've never heard it in relation to that body part, shuffling.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, I used to wander around doing impressions of an elephant, which where you pull your pockets inside out, and they become the elephant's ears, and then you produce a trunk, and that always used to be good fun. In fact, I used to be able to do an impression of Douglas Bader doing an impression of an elephant by standing in two upturned bar stools doing the same thing and shuffle around on two. But so perhaps that's what he was doing, in which case, absolutely fantastic. I love it.
So Captain Nick is endorsing this whole thing.
Nick endorsed.
So long as he was able to report with zero alcohol in his system, I see no problem with this.
I think Leading for Life, Bob says the passengers reported to the airline that, quote, there is a small problem with the pilot for our flight. Oh. Yeah.
Excellent.
Peter says, any video evidence?
Sorry,
thankfully
Peter.
not.
Yeah.
Thankfully not. Okay, well, thank you, Paddle. You're on command.
Captain Nick to recreate it at all.
Yeah, let's don't have him reenact the scenario.
Well,
thank
the
goodness.
elephant impression.
Yeah, I'd rather pass on that for today. Let's continue on then.
Be very old elephant.
Moving
now.
swiftly on.
We're just at the 1 hour mark, guys. 1 hour.
At the 1 hour mark, okay.
It feels like it's been all day.
I know, it's been long. Let's see. What's this one? Spartwayne. So, what do you think? Oh, gosh, a lot of news in here. I know, because we don't have any feedback.
Are you complaining?
Well, we've got
No.
Bob's feedback. Definitely. Oh, yes, in there. I see. Yes.
Yeah. Why don't
Speaking of pull up and doing things in bars, maybe we should talk about the Marines' latest shenanigans.
Okay.
Let's jump to K. Okay. Now, I guess we'll start by saying that we're not entirely sure that this is, not fake news.
This is from an unverified source.
An unverified source via Facebook. A USMC, U.S. Marine Corps TAV-8B Harrier from VMAT 203 suffered a landing gear malfunction when trying to return to Marine Corps Air Station Cherry Point, which is near the Atlantic coast or on the Atlantic coastline, North Carolina. The Marine aviator realized his gear failed to extend naturally, referred to the standard operating procedures that dictated activating the backup safety nitrogen bottle to blow the gear down. Unfortunately for the pilot, blow the gear down.
Hey ho, blow the gear down.
We should just have Nick singing that in the background as I continue with the coverage here. Unfortunately for the pilot and plane, when communicating the issue over the radio, a higher-ranking officer ordered him not to follow standard operating procedures, and instead had a stack of strapped mattresses placed in the center of the runway. Now, let me just pause here for a moment. Why would the higher-ranking officer be concerned about him blowing the bottle? I mean,
I found another article that talks a little bit about that. It's possible that there is a part in the nose gear that could get cracked or damaged when you blow the gear down with the nitrogen bottle, and they're apparently a rather scarce part, so it could.
Okay.
But they're choosing to crash the jet versus maybe possibly break one part.
I was about to say this is kind of like that whole avoid the birds, hit the beach scenario.
Yeah, indeed.
But that might have been in his head.
I'm not sure that the higher-ranking officer, considered the consequence of this idea of placing a stack of strapped mattresses on the center of the runway. The article continues, much to the surprise of the officer who devised the imaginative contingency plan, when the 23,000-pound fighter jet blowing down over 20,000 pounds of vectored thrust from its Pegasus engine. It's only one engine, right? In the Harrier?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, settled down on his bed, the landing mattresses immediately responded with an uncontained, self-executed rapid kinetic disassembly, exploding in a shower of metal springs, fabric, and coils that were quickly ingested through the spinning blades of the jet engine. That's not good. Although the aircraft was extensively damaged, the pilot was able to climb out of bed without injury. Oh, that's cute. When ground crews jacked up the Harrier jump jet, they were able to blow the gear down with no problems. Ooh.
So much for the plan.
Yeah, so much for that plan. This is when the story takes an even stranger turn. Okay.
Even stranger?
Yeah, even stranger. Once the jet was placed in the hangar, relatively undamaged, structurally speaking, an EasyGo golf cart came flying into the hangar and smashed directly into the jet, causing some D-level repair damage. It turns out that the cart operator was huffing keyboard cleaner shortly before making his parts run in the EasyGo golf cart. He got dizzy, as you do, lost consciousness, and the cart, now driverless, turned directly into the hangar at full speed through a gap in the hangar doors and smashed into the parked jump jet.
Who's running this Air Force base?
That's just
Marines. Don't you put that on the Air Force?
No, let's call it Air Force. That's much more fun.
He ran out of crayons, so he had to switch to a keyboard cleaner. It's okay.
Oh, he was sniffing crayons?
I didn't know huffing keyboard cleaner was an option.
You should try it.
It's like dessert.
Well, I've been drinking beer, and it puts the weight on a bit, so perhaps keyboard cleaner might be better for me.
Well, cut the beer in half and then just start using the keyboard cleaner and,
Get huffing there, Nick. Get huffing.
Yeah, get to huffing there, man.
Bob
right.
has another comment here.
Oh, Bob in our live audience says, is it April 1st? I know. No kidding. It's like,
Yes,
it's almost...
We did think about this.
It's almost too crazy to make up, really, you know?
Yeah.
And this story has been around for a number of years.
Oh, has it?
Yeah, the oldest posting I found
It's
for
not
the oldest
breaking
instance
news.
is 2007.
Okay, it's not breaking news.
Not breaking news, but it's still fantastic.
That's still a good story.
I was ordered to put it in the lineup.
I
by my
did,
senior officer.
Well, so we were, we were talking about this between shows, and I thought that was pretty funny, and of course did not do any research on it to find out, when it happened and all that kind of stuff. But hey, it was
My
fun.
favorite part was the violent disassembly, whatever that wording was.
Yeah, the rapid disassembly, kinetic
if nothing
disassembly.
else, the writing in this article made it worth it. It was
Absolutely.
good writing.
Yep. Cool.
Okay. Well, let's see. What else shall we do? All right. Let's do item L. A Royal New Zealand. This is from avbrief.org. A Royal New Zealand Air Force C-130J crew is being celebrated for a midwinter ice runway rescue of 3 sick people at the U.S.'s McMurdo Station in Antarctica. Enter joke here. Because I figured that Captain Nick would say, well, all of the U.S. people there at McMurdo are sick people.
Well, I was going to say something, but you beat me to it.
Well, I was waiting for it. It wasn't happening as quickly.
I hadn't quite formulated the joke yet.
Okay, sorry.
Give him a minute. Come on.
Yeah, okay. The Air Force said it was asked by the U.S. to conduct the rescue in the complete darkness of winter with threatening weather. The temperature was minus 11 degrees Fahrenheit when the crew put down on the ice runway to pick up the trio, one of whom was critically ill. It's an extremely challenging environment to fly in on night vision goggles due to the extreme weather conditions, which are highly changeable at this time of year and makes accurate forecasting a challenge. That was a quote from Andy Scott, a New Zealand Air Commodore, told Reuters. The mission took about 20 hours in total, and the aircraft landed in Christchurch on Wednesday. The Royal New Zealand Air Force performed similar operations in 2021 and 2024. A top U.S. official was effusive in her thanks to the crew. We are so very grateful, said the U.S. Charge d'affaires. Is that right? I'm not very good with French. Okay. For New Zealand, Melissa Sweeney was the Charge d'affaires. Our Kiwi partners didn't hesitate to understand the mission in one of the most unforgiving environments on Earth. Their skill and readiness are truly world class. All right.
I thought that was a nice story.
That's a nice feel-good story, yeah.
Yeah.
As opposed to the dude running around with his pants down in the hotel bar.
We have the highs and lows of aviation.
The highs and lows, for sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Speaking of high, this is a very important story.
This is a very important story. Speaking of high altitude.
Number P.
Yep, number P, yeah. Astronaut James Lovell, commander of Apollo 13, dies at 97 years old. Wow. That's a long life. He led the 3-man crew that survived a near catastrophic explosion in space in 1970 and was later immortalized by Tom Hanks in the movie Apollo 13. He was the commander of the 3-man Apollo 13 spacecraft, as it approached the moon in April 70 before safely returning to Earth in an extraordinary rescue operation. His family confirmed the death to NASA on Thursday. He lived in Lake Forest, Illinois. Captain Lovell, a former Navy test pilot, flew for some 715 hours in space. Wow, that's a lot. The most of any astronaut in the pioneering Mercury, Gemini, and Apollo programs forged by the United States as it vied with the Soviet Union to put a man on the moon by the end of the 60s. He took part in 2 Gemini missions that orbited the Earth and was one of the 3 astronauts aboard Apollo 8, the first space flight to orbit the moon before he was chosen by NASA for Apollo 13. Let's see. The purpose of the mission was to land Captain Lovell and Fred Hayes Jr. on the moon, while the third member of the crew, John Swigert Jr., orbited in the spaceship to await their return. They were to explore a spot called Framwaro? Is that how you say that? A highland whose topography could provide important insights into the moon's geology. Anyway, of course, when we think of when we think of Lovell, we think of a lot of things. But the thing that he may be most well known for, which was something that they included with some artistic license in the movie Apollo 13, played by Tom Hanks. The Lovell's call to NASA ground control when an explosion rocked his spaceship became part of the American lexicon, a wry way of signaling that something was amiss. In the real life, so you'll remember, Houston, we have a problem, right? That's what they said in the movie, and that's what everybody assumes was actually said by Captain Lovell. However, well, you know what? We actually have the audio sent to us by Radio Roger, and so let me play that, and we can.
Very concerned that we be accurate here.
Yeah, so we want to play that to make sure we get this right, and so let's have a listen.
Hi there, Captain Jeff. Captain.
That's not. That's somebody else. Hang on there, Bob. We'll get to you. Here we go. Let's do this.
Okay, Houston, we've had a problem here.
This is Houston. Say again, please.
Houston, we've had a problem.
Okay. So the first voice there was Mr. Swigert, who told NASA that there was trouble. He said, Houston, we've had a problem. And then Captain Lovell echoed his words when NASA asked for the message to be repeated because they were kind of talking over each other. And then he said, Houston, we've had a problem. So just to be accurate there. But I guess it sounded better for the movie to say, Houston, we have a problem.
I love the way Hollywood think they can rewrite history.
Yep. Me too.
This is a lovely picture of him looking up at the moon. I think that's a nice picture.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So
it's behind you, Jim.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, he's kind of old in that picture there, Captain Nick.
Well, that's also rather appropriate too, because they didn't make it there.
No,
that's very true. Yes.
How true. How true. Well, rest in peace, Captain Lovell. And we really honor your contributions to space flight. All right. I guess now it's time for us to move on to the next segment, which is one of my favorites, Getting to Know Us. So here we go. And that's the time of the show where we kind of get all caught up with what people have been up to between shows. And we're going to start with Camacho because it's been a while. And the last time I saw Nick in person was at Oshkosh a few weeks back. And you were there with your son, Cannon, and your father, Hector, and I think your brother. You said there's some other family members up there, Nick?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. The four of us. Yep. My dad and my brother, and then Cannon and I were all there. I was only there because of work constraints, and then Cannon also had a couple of things that he had to do. We were only there for about 2.5 days, so I think we only actually saw Jeff and AJ once. But yeah, so it was a pretty hectic July. I spent a fair amount of time on the road for work, and then in between my work trips, I made it to Oshkosh. I think that's about it. And then I've been home for the last week or so, week and a half, and was able to do a couple of kind of summer ending things with my kids before they started school on Wednesday. We actually, ironically, were at the Cosmosphere. That's one of my son's favorite places to go, which is a space museum here about an hour north of Wichita. And they have the command module for the Apollo 13. They have the Apollo 13 command module there. They restored it about 20 years ago and have it on display. So we were actually there looking at all of the Apollo 13 equipment the day after Jim Lovell died. And I didn't know he had passed away until we were there. So that was kind of
wow.
weird little quirk.
Yeah.
But we did that. And then we finally got multiple airplanes airworthy at the same time, me and my dad, which is a first for a while. So I've been flying both my Deb and the Luscombe, kind of getting back in the groove of flying regularly, which has been nice. And then, like I said, the kids started school Wednesday. Today, Ken and I are running up to Kansas City to watch a Royals game this weekend, and then back to the grind at the beginning of next week.
Nice. I just want to share a little anecdotal experience that we had at Oshkosh involving Camacho and no, it's not bad. Not bad. I think I really chuckle when I think about it. So we had talked about a couple episodes ago, AJ and I went to Pete's Garage Bar on Saturday night, like that first weekend, or the Saturday right before, Oshkosh started officially. And it was so packed at Pete's Garage Bar that we ordered, and it was like 2.5 hours before we got any food. It was just amazingly packed. And so I get this text from Camacho that says something about, like we were trying to keep, or try to stay together or meet up again or whatever, and he said, we're thinking about going over to Pete's Garage Bar for dinner. And I'm thinking, well, okay, let me warn you that it's extremely crowded and it's going to take forever to get food and everything else, So he takes the warning in stride, and then I don't know, about an hour or so later, or maybe not even that long, I'm not sure. But I get this text from Nick that says, "I kind of have a feeling that I've been significantly misled on your warning about Pete's Garage Bar." And he sends me these pictures, and it's like completely empty. And of course, he is referring to Nick's Garage Bar, which is actually on the showgrounds of,
they had like
Whitman Field. Yeah. It's like their show version of the place. And there's absolutely nobody in the pictures. It's like completely empty. and
it was great. Super convenient.
No kidding. Yeah. So I thought, that's a completely different place than what I was talking about, and a completely different experience that you had than we had. So I thought that was funny. Little, we always talk about it here. Communication is so important, and I didn't even know that there was another like remote location of Pete's Garage Bar there at the showgrounds.
Yep.
Anyway.
I didn't either, and that was my brother was kind of driving that one just because he wanted to stay on the field because he works during Oshkosh, so it's a little different for him, but. He said, let's run and grab something to eat real quick. We can go over to this place. It's on the field, so it's super convenient. We could just walk there. So we walked over there, and as I was getting ready to go, I texted it to Jeff, and mass miscommunication.
I wish that we had gone there. Of course, I don't know that it was probably not open at the time that we were there at that Saturday night, AJ.
That's probably true.
At the real Pete's Garage Bar, but that would have been such a more pleasant experience, and I probably would have stayed a lot drier. After
I had a great time.
I know. And you were dry and all that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I learned my lesson for sure. Never hang out with AJ at Oshkosh. That's what I learned.
You just got to fully commit. That's all.
Great to have you back, Nick. And glad to hear everything is going well in your work and home life, family life. And I hope you guys have a great time at the Royals game.
Yep. My son's super excited because we got a voucher. Like some local place here sells vouchers where you can like buy this voucher, right, and get 2 tickets to a game. And it can be, you can select the game, and it's not all the games, but there's a fair amount of options. And from the beginning of the summer, my son was just like, I want to go watch the Royals play the White Sox because the White Sox are terrible, and I want to make sure I see the Royals win.
Okay. Fingers crossed, right?
Right. So that exactly. And it's, it's funny because when we were going to Oshkosh, the way that everything was working out, he had ended up having a baseball game rescheduled on Wednesday. That's why we were so short. Our trip was so short, right? We got in Sunday morning and had to leave Tuesday night to get home for his baseball game on Wednesday. But when we were talking through it all, the Royals actually played in Chicago at the beginning of the week of Oshkosh. And I was like, if you'd be willing to miss your baseball game, maybe we could fly into Chicago on Monday, watch the Royals game, spend the night in Chicago Monday night, and then drive to Oshkosh Tuesday. We could be there like Tuesday through Sunday or whatever. And he was like, oh, I want to do that, but I also really want to get to Oshkosh and I want to get to my baseball game. And so then we ended up listening to the Royals game, a little bit Monday night at the campground. And the Royals ended up beating the Cubs pretty convincingly. I think it was like 8-2 or something. And the next day he was like, man, one of the reasons that I decided not to go to the Royals game is because I thought they were going to lose because the Cubs have a really good record. If I had known they were going to win, I would probably rethink it.
He
So
really plays the angles there.
He's a very results-driven fan. Yeah.
That's funny.
Love it.
All right. Very good. AJ, what have you been up to, sir? Or how's that new job going?
It's going. It's been good. Pretty relatively steep learning curve, but been doing pretty well. So I'm enjoying it. Enjoy getting to know the instructors as well, and figuring out everybody's kind of personality type and how their brains work and what they're expecting. So we're working hand in hand with the instructors that are teaching the actual ATC students. So getting to know their preferences on what to do and when situations come up and stuff has been pretty fun. Great group as well. So that's been good. Other than that, still beating our head against the wall with this stupid RG airplane. It's we got it fixed, and now the landing lights don't work after we put the radios in, which has nothing to do with the radios, but it's just every time.
I was just going to say, perhaps you miswired them, but obviously not.
No, it's just been one thing after another with this airplane.
Every time you hit the microphone switch, the lights come on.
Yeah, it's great. It also goes into a sharp left bank, but that's still, I don't think that's good either.
Not a problem if you're ready for it.
Maybe that's what happened on the Hornet.
Oh yeah,
that may have been what happened on that Hornet in Spain.
Yeah, so it's just been a bit of stress dealing with that, and then we got some possible chances of some new interesting airplanes being leased back to the club. A possible 6-seating airplane and maybe a twin, but both of them are, I'd say, a little bit far out for anything definite. But the opportunity is there, so it's been interesting trying to navigate all that and figure out what's necessary in the plans and things. Other than that, my wife had a birthday this week, so she's officially older than me again. So I get to hold that over her head for about 4 months. So that'll be fun.
I only cry because that's exactly what my wife does for 6 months of every year. Calls me an old man.
Yep.
So she catches that.
Yeah, but hopefully we're going to have a little get together this afternoon, have some fun, have some beers, and hang out. So we'll see how it all goes.
Are you cooking something gourmet?
No, I did. She requested steak and baked potato for her birthday, so we had some pretty yummy steak, and I did picanha and nice loaded baked potato, bacon and cheese and all the fixins. So that was really nice. And so we're going to there's a brewery not too far from where we live that has a nice big outdoor venue, and there's a huge playground almost on site, literally like directly adjacent to the place that the kids love to go and play on. And it should be a good time. So we'll see how it all goes. But other than that, just keeping on.
All right, very good.
AJ, I'm curious because I'm not an American, quite obviously. When you load a potato, do you put the bullets in the potato or do you put the potato in the gun?
Well, when you load, you could do it either way, really, but more effectively, putting the bullets in the potato would be
cool. Okay.
But if you're using a potato gun, then you would put the potato in the gun.
Oh yeah, I used to have one of those.
See, so you're not that far off. See, you could come over here and fit right in.
It's a good thing that the people from the UK don't have any like sayings or interesting, unusual kind of phrases for things, as we do here in the U.S.
I believe those are colloquialisms.
Yes, I just didn't want to try to say that word. Yes, what, Liz?
Your turn now.
Oh, my turn.
Your turn.
Okay, let's see. When do we record? Sunday, I think.
Sunday.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sunday,
and then,
Sunday.
Yeah,
Jeff,
and then
you talked about what you were going to do.
Right. That weekend, getting back into the swing of things is, singing at my church, and then on Tuesday, I flew up to Indianapolis for Antu's.
Uh-oh. We
What
lost
happened?
you for a second.
Yeah, I know. Everything was like spinning.
We're still
things.
here.
Yeah, you can. Am I back?
You're back.
Yeah, you're good.
That's weird. I don't know what happened there. Okay, so the Tuesday of this past week, went up to, and I mentioned it on the last show that I was intending to do this. So I flew up to Indianapolis for the wedding. Gonna have to definitely cut that one out. For the funeral of that lady, that Vietnamese woman that I met at Oshkosh, that we talked quite a bit about, especially on that last episode, and our experiences with Antu. Anyway, her visitation was on Tuesday, the funeral on Wednesday, and I got to try for the very first time since I've retired from actively flying at Delta, my non-revenue travel benefits as a retired person now, a little bit lower on the list of priorities. And but it worked out because there were a bunch of seats available on the flight up and the flight back.
Well,
so
it wasn't Hawaii or Heathrow you were going to.
Right. It wasn't anything that there were very few seats available. So that worked out well. Let's see. And I got a chance to meet up with just so many wonderful people that, and I think I tried to express, and I think AJ knows what I'm talking about, how this bigger than life personality onto the lady that died in the plane crash, how she affects people, and it's really hard to explain exactly how she manages to do that, and how she manages to get people to do things that you really didn't volunteer to do, but you're kind of voluntold to do. And then you kind of smile and go, yeah, I'd really love to do that for you. Anyway,
in my experience, she was a very frustrating person who was really hard to stay mad at.
Exactly. Yes.
If that makes
That's
sense.
a great way to say it. And you know what? I got a chance to hear from a lot of people, a lot of her students, a lot of people that knew her in other contexts. And the theme running throughout it is that so many people were, just touched by her and captivated by her soul. And it was really, almost overwhelming, just the outpouring of just wonderful things about her. And anyway, so as I said, I got to meet a bunch of her students and other people associated with her in various aspects of her life, her family as well. And it was a great experience. I'm so glad that I went up there. I think I've established some new friendships that could be, something that blossoms into something into the future. And I'm very glad that I went up there and had that experience. And so that's what I did Tuesday through Thursday. And then I came back, and in the Catholic Church, there's a solemnity, feast or solemnity, I guess, for the Assumption of Mary. It's a thing that pretty much the Catholic Church does exclusively, and it's a big mass. And so I sang in the vigil for that on Thursday.
A big mess. It's a big mass.
Not a big mess, but a big mass. And then the next day, yesterday, I sang in two separate masses for
and you're
the
going
Feast
back
of the
again.
Assumption.
Yay.
And then, just in a couple of hours, I'll be back up at the church for the vigil for the Sunday Mass. And then, of course, singing again tomorrow. So I enjoy doing it, obviously. And anyway. So that's what I've been up to. Oh, there's a local jazz club in Alpharetta that I've been going to a few times that I went to on Thursday evening. It was kind of like a open mic kind of jam. Don't worry, I wasn't up there singing or playing anything. I was just watching and enjoying the real live jazz. A lot of amazing musicians that are here in the area. Anyway, so that is pretty much what I've been up to. Now, this might be a good time to share the meetup.
Micah?
Micah and Dana meetup. Okay. Let me know if you're ready for that, and I'll see if I can find the audio. Are you? Okay.
So you're going to hear some background noise, or maybe a little bit of wind. You may hear some cars go by or some people go by, because I'm sitting on Commercial Street in Portland, Maine, on this beautiful bench in the shade. About 100 yards behind me is the harbor. Right in front of me is Hobson's Landing, and just to my left is Becky's Diner, where last I was just there just a few minutes ago with Captain Dana, who came up to visit. Well, also he had to fly an airplane here, and we just had a great dinner. And Captain Dana, welcome back to Portland, Maine, and it's so great to see you.
Maine man Micah, what an absolute pleasure to be here in this wonderful city of Portland, Maine. Getting to enjoy the beautiful weather that we have. Pretty high humidity, but from Maine, but it's still pretty low in my book. Very nice afternoon, clear skies, light breeze, and we just got through eating an unbelievably fantastic dinner over here at Becky's, where we enjoyed each other's company for a good while, having a great dinner.
Well, Dana, it's so good to see you. I'm really glad you're here. And, I wanted to bring you back to the listeners because when we last left you on the Journey as Reward, you had told us all about what it's like to fly a line and all the things you have to think about and what it's like to be captain with a major airline, and you fly for Acme. And sometimes there were so many other things we wanted to talk about in regards to that, and sometimes even though you're very senior and you have a line, things can go not as planned. And for example, to come up here to see me today, you were supposed to fly your A320 up this way, but you were in Boston. It didn't quite work out. You ended up on an RJ. They decided to punish you, and well, a couple of different Acme regionals. But what happened, and how often does it happen?
Well, Mike, to be honest, it's not an uncommon occurrence, especially during the summertime. But basically, last night I was getting ready to go to bed at a reasonable hour because I had to be up about 10 minutes before this morning to fly my piece of equipment from Boston to Atlanta and then connect in Atlanta and come back up here to Portland, Maine. But that wasn't happening because at about 8:45 last night, I got a message from the company stating that my flight in the morning had canceled and they had rerouted me. It's a very common term in the airline business, a reroute, and that reroute was not optimal. However, bottom line is it's what I am required to do by the company, and to make the operation work and graduate and cooperate, of course I did it. And the reroute included flying on a couple of regional jets. I had to go from Boston all the way down to LaGuardia, which is complete opposite direction, only to fly back up here to Portland, Maine. Both about 55-minute flights, roughly. And the first RJ that I got to fly on was the 175, the E-175, which is a little bit bigger, more of a standard airliner type of major airliner type configuration, a little bit wider body. And, the E-175 is, pretty nice riding airplane, still a little more cramped than most, but, probably similar to a 737, which tends to be a little more cramped than most. The second one, after I was in LaGuardia, I got the opportunity to fly on the CRJ 900. Haven't been on a CRJ 900 in quite some time. And it's a little more cramped than even the E-175 because that is a pretty narrow fuselage, and again wasn't particularly comfortable. But the bottom line is I got really lucky, and that was that I got to be in an aisle seat, not against the window, because if I was against the window, I just, with my big shoulders, just really don't fit there very well. All in all, that's kind of the woes of the airlines, and that's what happens is, when you show up to work on Monday, which is what I did, you pretty much know that you can come home on Wednesday. That's generally what the plan is. And what happens in between, you kind of have to go with the flow, because the airline has to have their operation, and nothing always goes as planned. Now, not necessarily does it happen all the time. However, it does happen occasionally. And, all right, to be fair, I would much rather have flown all the way to Atlanta, even though I had to be at the airport at 4:25, I think, this morning. I would much rather, the pickup was a 4:25, excuse me, for a 4:45 show, a 5:45 push. I would have much rather have done that than sit as a passenger in the back of the airplane. You know, what pilot doesn't want to fly an airplane? And so at the end of the day, we both agreed, my first officer and I, that, you know, we were kind of tired just because we sat in the back of the airplane. I'd much rather be up front flying. So when a reroute happens, it happens, and sometimes it's flying, sometimes it's riding.
Well, it could be worse. You could be like our good friend Stephen Ivey, who flies for a fractional ownership company, and he never knows where he's going to be or when. And there's an airplane flying right over us right now. So, Dana, I wanted to ask you about something else, because over the past 5 years or so, you've changed aircraft 3 times, which is a little unusual, but you were in a tough situation. You were flying the MD-88, the MD-90, and Acme retired those, so you had no choice. You had to go someplace else. So you moved to the 737 and stayed there for a while and found that didn't quite suit your needs, and you moved then from there to the A320. So I'm kind of curious about what it's like changing aircraft and learning the new aircraft, and what you liked about the ones that you flew, what you miss, and what you would change about the one you're currently flying, knowing about the other ones if you could.
Well, Mike, you know, basically when you show up to training, all 3 airplanes are airplanes, but you have to forget what you have already learned about the other airplanes, because they're all 3 different. Excuse me, sorry. Hi, how you doing? They're all basically all different manufacturers. You get McDonnell Douglas, which is a different philosophy from Boeing, which is a completely different philosophy from speaking French and flying the Airbus products. So when you end up on 3 different airplanes in such a short amount of time, you really don't carry over a whole lot of things except for your basic flying skills and also your basic airmanship. So in other words, if you're a captain or a first officer, you continue with your captain duties and your captain responsibilities, and it's the same depending on, independent of each aircraft.
Dana, it's great to see you. So glad you could make it back up here to Portland. Thanks for taking the time to talk with us here on the show. And, I guess we'll head back to the studio now.
All righty. Here we are. All right. What a great interview, Micah. Thank you, Captain Dana. Always nice to hear from you. And glad to hear that everything is going well with your career and the airplanes you're flying and all that kind of stuff. So, Captain Nick, what have you been up to since the last show?
Not that we care, but go ahead.
Not that we forgot to ask you about that, and we're actually now putting this in the proper order in the audio podcast.
Indeed. Absolutely nothing, so you can move on.
Okay.
No, I'm only joking. Bowl season, I mean, I'm busy. I was bowling today. I didn't really have time to change, so I'm still wearing my bowling gear. It's pretty garish, isn't it? I mean, it's
pretty gamey,
like a football team. Anyway, yeah, I had a terrible game last night. We were absolutely thrashed, and yet today we had a brilliant game. My team and I,
nice.
We did a really good job getting through the semi-finals of the Petersfield Cup. So we're now at the final, which will be played next month, I think. So that's good to look forward to. But other than that, most of the leagues have wound up now. And it's getting into, the winter, almost. Anyway, so that's bowls knocked on the head. The only other thing really is artwork. We had some great suggestions. Yeah, we had one, as in JUAN, one runway procedure. We had farewell to a daredevil, but of course, by popular choice, you're an idiot. Was
yes
the the choice. And everybody said, even if you didn't saying it, you were thinking it. So I've got just about everyone from the crew there looking up or thinking about our air traffic controller, including the extra face there in air traffic. Did you recognize that? Anyone?
Yeah.
Nigel, isn't it?
Looks like
the
like a
extra
homeless
face
person.
in the tower.
Oh, in the tower.
In the tower.
Yeah, that's what was the color guy? Max?
Max Headroom.
Headroom.
Max Headroom. There you
In
go.
fact, that's
So
what you
Max
looked like
Headroom's
earlier when you were jerking around on your video.
Indeed. I was doing my impression.
Ah.
Anyway, Jeff, you're winking, so I'm not quite sure why you're winking away there. But we have got a homeless man in there.
Is that winking or wincing?
Yeah,
Bit
wincing.
of both.
Yeah.
And I'm holding my idiot's guide. So it's all about idiots. However, we did manage to squeeze the usual in there.
Look at that watch.
If you want to find the show number, look on Jeff's watch. There you go. And
that's one of my
that
favorite
will be-
times of day, 6:72.
Yes. 672. Yeah. Look, pretend it's a German one.
Oh, okay.
0612. Right. And the logo was, Nick is about to eat it because it's on the foam, foam windshield of his microphone. And I think the only other thing we needed to find was the jackass. And
well, we're all there. Oh, the penguin. Okay. Yeah.
The jackass jumps over the moon.
That's a good trick. Put it behind the banner when you
Didn't
try
I
to
do
go
a
up and click
close
on
up of that? Obviously not. Yeah, well, the jackass is doing an ET fly home. Yes, there he is.
There we go.
The jackass is flying over the moon.
Right. He's looking down
With
on
a-
all of us idiots saying, what?
Yeah, exactly. So that's the artwork for last week. If you've got any good suggestions for this week at the end of the show, please.
Oh, okay. Excellent. All right. And we do have some contributions to the coffee fund, but we're going to go ahead and push that on to the next show where we'll honor you and acknowledge you. That's the word I was looking for. We'll acknowledge your contribution and thank you. Thank them. I don't know what the heck I'm saying anymore. Okay.
Now we're going to do feedback. Sorry, Nick.
We are going to do feedback now. Are we all clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Clear for feedback.
Clear prop.
Captain, incoming message.
When people think about the Airline Pilot Guy Show, APG, they think professional.
Not.
Not.
Yeah.
So let's start with Bob. Bob.
Yeah, Bob. Start with him, and that's really pretty much the only feedback that we have. So we're going to go with that. Thank you, Bob. He's in our live audience, or at least he was. I don't know. He might have left now. He says, "Hi, Liz and the APG crew. I've attached an audio feedback file that I hope you can make use of on the show. I'm planning to be in the live audience tomorrow." Yep, he's here. For at least some of the show. Is this not something I should be reading right now? Okay. The feedback is self-explanatory, focused on my good friend Captain Nick. Oh, really? Do we have to play that? Because although he's been kind enough to give me my kind enough to give me, my company, and my podcast a few shout-outs over the past couple of years, he's never mentioned that he features as the guest on one of my podcasts back in April 2024. I hope that you might mention this and play the audio feedback on the show when you get an opportunity. Yep, we're about to do that. The links I mentioned in the audio feedback are below. If you could include them in your show notes, I would be extremely grateful. My show is available on all the main podcast platforms, as well as at the link, so it's pretty easy to find if you simply look up Leading for Life Stories. There are plenty of other aviation-related podcasts with military pilots and my own personal stories that I didn't mention on the feedback, so I'm sure your listeners would find a few things to enjoy there when they aren't listening to the APG show. All right, very good. Congratulations again for a really great show. I love listening to it, and although I've got a lot of back episodes to catch up on, I'm well and truly hooked as a regular now. Very best wishes, Bob. Well, thanks, Bob. That was very kind of you to say. And he has a very, very, speaking of professional, not ours, but his is a very professional podcast. So if you're looking for that kind of thing, definitely go and check out the links to Bob's show. So without further ado, let's go ahead and play the audio feedback that Bob sent us.
Hi there, Captain Jeff, Captain Nick, and all the APG crew. Bob Judson here. It's my very first feedback to the show, but long overdue, I think. Captain Nick's been kind enough to give me a couple of shout-outs over recent couple of years, I suppose, with my own leadership company and my podcast and things that I've been doing. And you'll probably recall that the plane tale that he did with Colin Bell was one we actually did together. So I have a podcast with Colin as well as Nick's 3 plane tales that he did from that interview. There's also, though, a podcast with Captain Nick Anderson that I thought listeners actually probably might be wanting to be aware of because it's a really great story. There's another one, if you're into airline ones as well, with a chap called Howard Burton, who flew with British Airways for a long time, another ex-Air Force pilot. And those guys have got some really, really interesting tales that when you listen to their full leadership story, I think it's a really good listen. I don't want to drag you away too much from the APG show because it's a really great show and I love listening to it. And I'm about 1,000 episodes behind, or not quite, 600 and something behind probably, because I've only relatively in the last year or two converted to it and started listening to it. But I think you do a fantastic job, the whole crew, and I really, really appreciate all the stories you share. So much resonates with me, having spent so long in the military side of flying myself, and actually having been on the periphery of the airline world, not least as a passenger many, many times. So, so many of those fascinating insights that you provide. So well done, all of you. I'll keep it nice and short. But I'll provide my website link and my podcast link, so they'll hopefully make it into the show notes if you'd be so kind as to do that, just for those 2 particular episodes, because I think you'd find them really, really interesting, not least as learning a bit more about the very fine Nick Anderson, who was one of my instructors when I went through flying training about 1,000 years ago, it feels now. And he was terrific then, and he's terrific now, and it's really, really great that he's so active on the show. That's it. Thanks very much indeed. All the best. Bye now.
Well, thanks, Bob. And again, he is in our live audience, and we'll certainly include the links in our show notes. And thank you for taking the time to send us in the audio feedback and also for the nice compliments. And we much appreciate it.
Yeah, they cost me a lot. I mean, bank transfer, but even so. You know.
So now you're the very broke Nick Anderson.
Yeah, indeed.
And the fine.
Thank you, Bob. Yeah.
Captain Nick Anderson.
Checks in the post.
All right. Very good.
Actually,
always good to hear from our
anymore.
listeners.
Kids don't know what checks are, do they?
Yeah. Or clocks, like analog clocks. I don't know if they still teach that over there in the UK, but here in the US, they don't.
We don't want to talk about clocks, Jeff.
Yeah.
That's still.
Oh, yeah. That's a kind of a sore subject. The atomic clock. All right.
Bob's still waiting, Jeff. Nick, he's still waiting.
He's still waiting, he says. He's waiting for the money. Come on. Well, you know.
I sent it second class. It'll be there in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
Jeff, do you have one more thing to play?
I have one more thing. We'd like to end the show with this. You know, we were talking about for the past several episodes our wonderful experience at Oshkosh, AirVenture, EAA's AirVenture 2025. And we mentioned a few times hanging out with Captain Al, what a great person he is and personality. And he, you know, something that a lot of people don't know, Captain Al is quite a lover of aviation, of course, but especially military aviation.
Wondering where you were going with that.
And he made a video to kind of share with us his appreciation of military aircraft. And so without further ado, let's have a listen to Captain Al here as he describes his experience at Oshkosh and all the wonderful military jets.
Welcome back everyone to Oshkosh. Don't know really, it's grey. That's all you really need to know. Part of the military thing, it's grey. It's got 4 grey things, grey tail, and you can get fairly close.
Look at that C-17.
It's grey. There we go. And
Al has such a way with words.
Well, we've got some sort of other military thing. It's kind of like a silver grey. I'll show you some more. Look, there's some more grey over there. Got some silvery grey stuff, and then some like grey stuff. That's not really grey, but that's grey. That's grey.
This is great narrative.
This over here isn't grey, but kind of masquerades as grey.
It's dark grey.
Very dark.
I think it's a Bono. I'm not sure. I'm not really good on these military aeroplanes.
Bono.
And this presumably is advertising tourism in New Hampshire. Again, I'm not too good on this. Captain Jeff flew one of these, and I think Captain Jeff might have flown this very one, judging by all of the ripples in the fuselage. Do a bit more walking over here, because there's some more grey over here. Feel like Martin Brundle on the Grand Prix pit thing. Starting grid, that's the word I'm looking for. This is grey. That's the big grey thing. And this is living proof that health and safety doesn't exist in the United States. Hands up if you want to see some more grey. All right, I'll take a little wander over here. Trying not to get killed.
Also noticing that he's walking in an area that no one else is now walking.
I seem to be the only person in this bit, so that may or may not be a good thing.
It's called restricted
If Nev
area.
hasn't been able to stabilise the video, then you'll be sick now.
I think he walked right through an area where he wasn't supposed to be. Yep, more grey.
Has Jonathan Warner exploded yet? Because there's some more grey here.
Oh, those grey things are expensive.
These things are kind of like noisy grey.
Oh, that's on.
There's some more grey.
Retired grey.
And a bit more grey. So that's it from the grey part of Oshkosh. Bye for now.
Very good.
Love it, love it.
Thank you, Captain Al. I think
hilarious.
I think
that was an in-depth tour of grey.
That was an in-depth tour of grey aircraft. I think that's Captain Al's favorite color or shade of black, which is grey. Yeah.
Well, it's all grayscale. It's grayscale.
Grayscale, yeah. So, so a lot of that was him walking around, and toward the end there, he was walking obviously through an area where he was not supposed to be because he was the only person, as he mentions in his narrative. And the reference made to Jonathan was because he is a photographer,
avid
military aviation photographer. So, anyway.
Thank you, Al. Love you.
Yeah, thanks, Al. Appreciate
50
that.
Shades of Captain Al. Yes.
That's an entirely different video.
Yeah. We don't want to go there. Well, I mean, we do, but we can't. Okay, it's time to wrap it up. Wow. It's been an unusual show. Let's see, we're going to go ahead and point you over to our website, airlinepilotguy.com, where you'll find all kinds of interesting things, I'm sure. And we're also on the social media, or what I like to call social meds, and I don't know who's going to be reading that, but it's not going to be me.
I'll take it.
Okay.
Facebook.com/airlinepilotguy. We're on X, formerly known as Twitter, as @APGcrew, Instagram.com/APGcrew, or YouTube.com/airlinepilotguy. Basically, look up Airline Pilot Guy and you'll find us.
There you go. Yeah, you'll find us out there. And also, we have something called Slack. And see if Hillel is... Oh, yeah, I'm bringing up the fader on that microphone in the bathroom. Don't ask me why. Hillel, can you tell us about Slack?
Okay, but I'm dripping wet.
All right, very good. Come over here and tell us all about it.
APG listeners, please join us on our Slack team. Slack is a communication, coordination, and sharing platform that works on your mobile, laptop, or browser. On Slack, we share news and ideas, we suggest episode and Plain Tales topics, we plan events and meetups. To get into the Slack team, please email me at slack@airlinepilotguy.com. That's SLACK, Sierra Lima Alpha Charlie Kilo @airlinepilotguy.com. Or send me a tweet with your preferred email address to @Hillel, and I'll send you an invitation. That's Hillel, spelled Hotel India 11 Echo 1, and see you in Slack.
Thank you very much, Hillel, for that information. And we'd also like to thank our producer, Liz, who's back with us here in view.
Yay.
And we do appreciate all the hard work you've done and continue to do, and that you're still willing to put up with us. We thank you for that.
I am. Love you guys.
We love you too. We also love our live audience, our live chat room. Thank you for showing up each and every week and entertaining us and helping us with information and distracting us as well. So we do appreciate that. Anyway, and with that, we're going to go ahead and sign off by wishing you clear skies, unlimited visibility, and tailwinds. Take care and God bless.
Bye, everybody.
See you next time.
You're welcome.
Bye, everybody. See you next time.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Good day.
I used to be such a good pilot till I started APG. I opened doors for little old ladies. I helped them to their seats. Airline pilot guy, I fly America. Oh, airline pilot guy, he can land in heavy fog. I got no friends 'cause I'm always flying. I just don't have the time. But I can land this old plane. I can land it just fine.